Boy, that escalated quickly.
Good morning. The Kings on a 3-game winning streak, 112-101 over the New York Knicks. What's up, Ryan in Sacktown? Welcome to X's and O's with Ryno. I figured I'd bring you in on my process. This is how I break things down. Commonly, I'll throw up some slides during the post-game show, but I want to show you what I'm seeing, and we'll add some context with some audio from Jerry Reynolds. We'll do as many of these as we can. And let me know what you think. Give us a like down below. Send us a comment. Make sure you subscribe to if you don't like that. Would love to have you join in on the action. If you're seeing something I don't see, like I said, put it in the chat. But we're going to look at 6 pictures from last night that I think really define this basketball game. We're not going to go long, probably about 5-10 minutes, but this is an opening shot from the beginning of the game. Kings already up 20-11. We have 4:54 left in the first quarter. Here's what I'm most interested in. The Kings offense this year has been very stagnant with the starters. You've had a lot of isolation play, which we'll get into in a few minutes. If you're going to play a lot of ISO, number one, you want to knock down some buckets because that's what's going to draw the help. That's what's going to draw the defense. Number two, once you are knocking down buckets, you have to have cutters. So you look at the 3 defenders right here in the paint for the New York Knicks. Their responsibility, Anunoby right here, and I don't know who that is right there off the top of my head, looking at the side shot, but their responsibility is to look at ball and man. So Miles McBride was the one that was on DeMar DeRozan originally. It's a mismatch. That's why DeMar went to the ISO. Now, you've got 3 there. So what should you do? Look at what DeMar DeRozan has available to him. You've got Zach LaVine here open for what Doug Christie would call a spray out 3. But more importantly, when I talk about cutters, look, you have Max Ryno coming right up the gut. You can just hand it off to him. He can hit that little floater that he's been really good at. But where the ball ended up going was Precious Achiuwa. This started Precious really having a good game and keeping the defense honest. So Precious comes right in there. DeMar's able to dish it off, and it is an easy 2 points for the Kings. It's exactly what you want to do. It's the balance between ISO and keeping the defense honest. Now, let's move on to a little bit later in the quarter. And this is something that I find so fascinating now. Dylan Cardwell. Yeah, he is a little different. Yes, he likes to get the crowd engaged, but he plays with a level of physicality. He plays with a level, as Doug Christie will say, of joy. And most importantly to me, he has a high basketball IQ. Now, his skill set around the rim does not match the IQ yet, but you can teach that. Mitchell Robinson, number 23 right here for the New York Knicks. He is the best offensive rebounder in 50-50 ball in the NBA, hands down. Now, him and Dylan, they're different body-wise, but the way that they play is very, very similar, which Kings fans, you should be really excited about. Dylan's a two-way guy. He can only play 45 games on the main roster, so we'll see what the Kings do with him. But this is what I want to point out. Here's your shooter. Ball is already in the air, wide open. What's the game plan? What's the one guy that you need to find? It's Mitchell Robinson. As soon as that ball's in the air, look at Dylan staring him dead in the face. Dylan then turns around. He swings this leg out and ends up boxing out Mitchell Robinson this way. And Dylan ends up getting that rebound. Now, you're not going to keep Mitchell Robinson off the boards all game. Not going to happen. But in the first quarter, Mitchell Robinson only had 2 offensive rebounds. As soon as Dylan Cardwell went out, he ended up getting 4 in the second quarter. I asked Jerry Reynolds last night if we just might be looking at a young Mitchell Robinson. in Dylan Cardwell. Here's what Jerry said.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Really, there's a lot of the similarities. I mean, now Mitchell Robinson's longer and quicker off his feet, and all that. But I honestly think that Cardwell's got a chance to maybe be a little better offensively because he can make a free throw now and then, and so. Just a case if Cardwell could, learn to just finish something around the rim, you could play him a lot more. But he don't go back to anybody. I mean, there's a player there. We don't know just how good yet, but I think you're right now.
How about that? There's a player there. We just don't know how good yet. So the Kings through the first quarter, really good. Now let's acknowledge the Knicks were not shooting the ball well. You lost Jalen Brunson if you're them. As they said on the telecast, a ship without a rudder. But regardless of who the Knicks are playing on the floor, you can control your own game. And for as good as the first quarter was, I thought the second quarter really slowed down for the Kings. And let me show you why. Little bit of set calls by Doug Christie. And if you notice when we were looking at the isolation play with DeMar DeRozan, and if you go back and watch the game, a lot of DeMar's ISOs, these are his spots. DeMar likes this spot right here. DeMar is a fan of this spot right here. He's a fan of this spot right here at the elbow. You get my point. These are DeMar DeRozan's spots. So the Kings are trying to create a mismatch here, and this is a set that they run a ton. It's a guard-on-guard pick and roll between DeMar DeRozan, and you could call him a small forward. Russ can play a little bit up. You get my point. But you're running the pick and roll with those two. But what do you have now? You don't have defenders that are in position to get beat on cuts. Look, they all know what's happening here. What's the big threat? Is Russell Westbrook going to post up? I don't think so. You've got Mitchell Robinson right here standing in the paint, waiting to do anything that Russ wants to do if he's going to try to get inside. So you get the matchup that you want here with Tyler Kolek and DeMar DeRozan, but look at the congestion. There's just too much going on here. Too much. So if DeMar, and I've got too much writing here on the screen, so let's clear that out. If DeMar ends up coming this way, look, you've got a help guy that can come up to DeMar. What I'm saying is the ball stopped moving. You don't have options. You don't have Zach LaVine coming down. He doesn't have a lane to cut from. Your guy that's in the dunker position in this corner, he doesn't have a lane to cut to. So this really slowed down the Kings offense, which let the Knicks somewhat back into the game, 45-32, as you can see at this point. And then to end the half, just something that's unacceptable, something that cannot happen, especially with this group on the floor and Russell Westbrook at the point guard. This was the last play of the first half. The Kings want to go in with a solid lead. You don't want the Knicks getting any momentum. You can look at the clock right here as we get our pen back. You can look at the clock right here, 3.8 seconds. So Josh Hart is at the midcourt line, 3.8 seconds. What happened was Russell Westbrook was guarding Josh Hart coming up the floor. Mitchell Robinson sets one of these brush screens, as we like to call them, running by. So Russell Westbrook needs to do one of two things, because you have a Nick here, you have a Nick here, and you have DeMar DeRozan here, you have Precious Achiuwa here, and you have Max Ryno. What you need to do if you're Russ is you either need to pass off Josh Hart, you need to talk right now with Max Ryno and say, ball, 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 because Max is in the best spot to pick up Josh Hart coming to the hoop. Or if you're Russell Westbrook, you just get through this traffic and you take the angle that gets to Josh Hart. But instead, there was not communication. Russ hung back behind the three-point line. Josh Hart goes straight to the hole for a layup. Nobody around. The Knicks go into the locker room, only down 14. So as we get to the third quarter, a quarter again that the Kings won. The Kings won the first quarter. The Kings won the third quarter. You can talk about the rookies and, yeah, they need some room to grow. They need to get stronger. But one thing that is undeniable about your rookies is they are not scared. They might not always be successful, but they are always up for the challenge. When you think about Max Ryno, you think about him more playing in the paint area. No, Max got on an island with Deuce McBride. And what's Max do? He's not giving Deuce McBride a ton of room. Max isn't set up down here. Max is right up with Deuce McBride, and he really doesn't have any help. Yeah, maybe you get a little bit from DeMar DeRozan here or a little bit there. Max ends up playing tremendous defense on this possession. In fact, he forces Deuce to the middle where you have some help. Deuce misses the shot. Max gets the rebound, and the Kings are off running to the other end of the court. What I'm saying about Max Ryno, when we say he is a switch guy, he's a guy that can play 1 through 4, maybe 1 through 5 at times. This is proof of it. It doesn't mean that you are starting Max Ryno on the point guard, because NBA teams, they like to attack basically the matchup that they want through a pass or two, through a screen or two. We saw that last night. We've seen it throughout this season. So that's how Max ends up on Deuce, but Max did a great job. Same thing's true of Dylan Cardwell. We saw Dylan Cardwell in this same position against Kevin Durant, almost the exact same area of the Golden One center court. We've seen, although he has struggled offensively, Nick Clifford come out and not be afraid to guard some of the better guys in this league. And whether they are successful or not, it's the willingness to at least go out there. It's what you want in a rookie, 41 games through this season. And let's get to the final slide. This was the fourth quarter, and just a beautifully executed play by the Kings, because everybody was a threat last night. Let me say that one more time. Everybody offensively on the court was a threat because people were moving, people were cutting. You kept the defense honest. You get this perfect play. It's called a flare screen. So Russell Westbrook, there was some action here to get Russ the ball. Dylan Cardwell, the pass originally came from Zach LaVine to Russ. Russ is over here. As Zach is fading off this way, Dylan Cardwell comes up and sets what we call a flare screen right here. And boy, oh boy, does he get all of it. Gets absolutely all of it. You can see the ball in the air right here. Zach ends up right here for a wide open 3-ball splash. Nothing but net. Excuse me, I said this was the fourth quarter. This was the third quarter. So one of the better games for the Kings in execution. Yes, the Knicks shot very, very poorly. But one other thing not illustrated that I want to get across here is the Kings are kicking the ball up in transition. One thing that was not happening earlier in the season with Dennis Schroeder, with Russell Westbrook, you saw it at times last night, where instead of passing the ball ahead in transition, the point guard's bringing it up all the way and pushing it to a point where they're stopped. When Malik Monk started playing for Dennis Schroeder just a few games ago, Malik was throwing the ball ahead and getting the ball to the corners. That's something more that is from the Mike Brown system, which is ironic because Mike Brown, Knicks coach, but that is what's kind of decongested this Kings offense. It's made them better in transition. So overall last night, a very, very good night for the Kings. Good film slides, still some stuff to work on, but hey, 3-game winning streak, you will take it, and take this for what it is. They're an 11-win team, but the last 3 games, they have looked much, much better and fluid. That's it for this one. X's and O's with Ryno. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if there's anything you saw. I want to know about your basketball IQ. And make sure you join us later today, Fox Sports Radio, 3 p.m. Jerry Reynolds will join us on the show. Also, Chris Landry talking NFL football. Appreciate all of you for being here. It's a wrap for the first X's and O's with Ryno.